I was a sophomore back in 2013, living in a small town in Ohio. My high school was one of those old brick buildings that looked like it hadn't changed since the 70s, creaky floors, humming fluorescent lights, and that faint smell of dust and floor wax that never really went away. I was part of the media club, the one that handled morning announcements, recorded football games, and edited videos for school events. Most of the time, it meant staying late after classes, in that tiny studio next to the auditorium. That's where this story happened. It was a Friday evening in October. The rest of the school was empty, football practice had been cancelled because of the rain, and the janitors were working the other wing. I stayed back to edit a video for the school assembly. I remember glancing at the clock, 6:42 p.m. The halls were already dim, with only the emergency lights glowing a faint yellow. There was a strange silence in the building. Not peaceful silence, hollow silence. Like the kind that makes your ears ring because it's too quiet. I kept working, headphones on, trying to finish. Then, from somewhere down the hallway, I heard the sound of a locker slamming. Just once. Loud. Bang. I froze. The entire school was supposed to be locked down by now. I took off my headphones and listened. Nothing else. Just the hum of the lights above me. I brushed it off, maybe one of the janitors was checking the lockers. But when I peeked out of the media room, the hallway lights were flickering on and off. Not fast, just a slow, lazy pulse, like a heartbeat. That's when I noticed something that didn't make sense. The lockers nearest the end of the hall were open. I was sure they hadn't been when I arrived. I walked over, slow. My footsteps echoed on the tile. One of the lockers, number 312, had something inside. A photo. Old, faded, taped to the back wall. It was a class picture from decades ago. The weird part. The faces of 3 students were scratched out with something sharp. Before I could process it, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. No one spoke. Just breathing. Slow. Careful. Then a click. I felt this cold wave run through me. I looked around, half expecting someone to be behind me. But the hallway was empty. I went back to the editing room, shut the door, and tried to convince myself it was just a prank. But then, as I sat down, I noticed something strange in the reflection of the monitor. The studio door, it was slightly open. I had just closed it. A part of me wanted to leave right then, but curiosity pinned me in that chair. I slowly turned toward the door. It was still cracked open. No sound. No footsteps. Just that same low hum of electricity. I grabbed my backpack, packed up fast, and turned off the lights. The second I did, I swear on everything, I heard the faint sound of someone whispering. Not clear words. Just a broken murmur, like a voice through static. I turned the lights back on instantly, and the sound stopped. Now my heart was racing. I left the room, moving fast down the corridor. As I passed the trophy case near the entrance, I caught my reflection in the glass, and for a split second, I thought there was someone standing behind me. But when I turned, there was no one there. I reached the main doors. Locked. Both of them. They always stayed unlocked until the last janitor left. I rattled them again, solid. That's when I heard footsteps. Coming from the second floor. Slow, deliberate, heavy footsteps, like boots. I looked up the stairwell, and saw the light at the top flicker off, then on again. I shouted, "Hello? Mr. Reeves?" He was the night janitor. No response. Just the sound of footsteps again, a little closer this time. I remember every nerve in my body screaming to run, but I couldn't. I stood there, staring up at the empty stairwell, waiting for whoever, or whatever, was up there to show itsy. Then, suddenly, all the lights in the hallway went out at once. Pitch black. The sound that followed still makes my stomach tighten when I think about it, not footsteps, not a voice. Just a faint scratching. Like fingernails dragging across a locker door, slow and steady. I ran. I didn't care which direction, I just followed the faint glow from the exit signs until I found a side door unlocked near the gym. I bolted out into the rain, soaked, breathless, not daring to look back. When I reached the parking lot, I turned around, and the school was completely dark. Every window. Every light. On Monday, when I came back, I told my media club advisor what happened. She looked uneasy and said, "You must have been hearing the pipes again. Happens when it rains." But then she paused and added something that still sticks with me. She said, "You were working in the old wing, right? You know they closed that section last year after the break-in?" I told her I had the keys from the principal's office. She frowned. "That can't be. The keys were taken out months ago." I went to check that hallway again later that week. The lockers at the end? Gone. Sealed behind drywall. And when I looked for locker 312, there was nothing but smooth white plaster, like it had never existed. The janitor, Mr. Reeves, the one I thought I heard that night, never came back after that weekend. They said he quit suddenly. No notice, no message. Just vanished. No one ever found out what happened. And every time it rains, I still think about that sound, the faint scratching behind the walls of a school that shouldn't have been open.